Hello and good morning, all of my beautiful intuitive butterflies, and welcome to the weekly predictions and readings for this Monday, September the 12th, 2022. So, one of the things that I've recently uploaded to my YouTube channel was meditations and hypnosis sessions that I had recorded a couple of years ago. They are still relevant today, despite the fact that they were recorded a couple of years ago. So if you are interested in hearing any of those meditations, by all means, jump over to my YouTube channel. It is under Marnie McBain YouTube channel, not under Intuitive Butterfly. Yeah, algorithms. What can we say? All right, so without any further ado, let's get on with our readings for today. Again, let me just remind everyone that the readings are general. So some of what you hear today will resonate with you. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. I do recommend that people listen to the readings for all three decks that I pull from, because you're going to hear things sometimes and go, oh, yeah, you know what? Both of those resonated with me. I know for me, sometimes I'll pick one deck and I'll be going, yep, yep, yep. And then I'll do the next one. I'll be like, oh, yeah. Now put the two together and all of a sudden there's so much guidance there for the week. So my microphone's trying to strangle me here today, so let's move everything out of the way. All right. So just wanted to let you know, that sometimes there's overlap. So by all means, please listen to the whole video. All right, let's get started with lighting our candle, maybe? Okay, we might not be having a candle today. Oh, yes, we are. There we go. Spirit has blessed us. All right, so take a deep breath. We're going to call in our divine creator. We call in Mother Earth. We call in the angels, the ancestors, and the animals. And we ask that they be here and assist us in our journey today and assist us in our readings today. Okay. And we're going to light some sage. And we're going to use the smoke to cleanse and clear the cards and the electronics. Cleanse and clear the cards and get them all ready for the reading today. Okay, and gratitude. Gratitude for sharing and helping. Move everything off to the side there a little bit, and let's get started. So for today, for this week, this reading is a reading for the next 7 days. It's general guidance of what energies to pay attention to and watch out for. Some of the energies are asking you and guiding you towards going, oh, I need to pay attention to that. And others are more of a shadow of, with more of the sense of, oh, I should have been paying attention to that. Okay, so that's sort of, you can hear how my voice changes, how the emotion behind the reading changes. So this week, take a deep breath, relax for a moment, and concentrate on this little piece of amethyst. See if we can get it to actually focus. No, it's not going to focus today, but this is amethyst. It's actually just a new stone to my collection. As you know, most psychics have collections of rocks and stones and gems and crystals. Surprising that our floors don't collapse under the weight of all that we collect over the years. All right, so this is amethyst. So if you are drawn to this beautiful little piece of amethyst, then you will be having your cards pulled and your direction given from deck number 1. And this will be deck number 2. This is a beautiful little piece of sea glass that I found last year in Puerto Escondido. And it's kind of interesting because it's in the shape of a worry stone. I don't know if you can see, but there is an indentation in it. So it's kind of a sea glass worry stone that you can just kind of guide your thumb over, and it helps you to relax and get into a meditative state. So if you're drawn towards this, then you'll be having your cards and guidance from deck number 2. And finally, we have a fluorite point. So this piece of fluorite is unique because it's not only green, but it also has purple mixed in it. So if you are drawn towards the energy of the fluorite point, then I'll be pulling your cards from deck number 3 today. Okay, so make your selection. Are you drawn towards the amethyst, the sea glass, or the fluorite point? And let's get started. Let's just move things off out of the way so that the energies don't get mixed up with each other. I mean, it's okay if your energies get a little bit crossed. You know, as I said, even in the readings today, if you are drawn towards one specific deck, but then you listen to the whole thing, there are going to be other things that are relevant to you in the other ones, or other energies that might be brought up that you might think, oh, yeah, I should pay attention to that this week. Okay, so for those of you that selected the amethyst, this is the guiding energy for you this week, and I will also have a shadow card for you. All right, one card. Okay, there is a card that is poking me. There we go. All right. For those of you with deck number 1, your guiding energy this week is taking shelter. The answers are within you. The answers are within you. So if this card was part of the traditional tarot deck, this card would actually be in alignment with the energies of the Hermit, or in my Osho Zen Tarot, in alignment with the Aloneness card. This card is calling upon those of you that selected the amethyst this week to go within. There is information that your angels and your guides have been trying to get to you. They have been trying to tell you this information, but in the busyness of your everyday life, you have not had the opportunity to be able to tap into and acknowledge the energy or the messages that your angels are trying to get to you. So your guiding energy for this week is take shelter, take a step back, make a conscious effort this week to spend how much time? Okay, I want to say 10 minutes a day. Really, really concentrating on your meditative practice. Whether your meditative practice is going out for a walk in the woods, hugging a tree, sitting quietly on the grass, or spending those first few minutes when you wake up in the morning in quiet contemplation, all of these are meditation. You don't have to, and I've said this a million times, but it does bear repeating. You do not have to go sit in a perfect lotus with your fingers in Gya Mudra. For many people, that is not meditation for them, because that is an invitation to their mind to go into monkey mind mode. And we don't want that. What we want for you is for you to have the opportunity to get out of What do I have to do next? Okay, tomorrow I have this appointment. What do I have to do next week? Oh, the cat needs to go to the vet. Oh, the dog needs a shot. Oh, I need to go running over here. Oh, I have to pick up my son over here, my daughter over here. What we want is for you to back out of that kind of thinking and go into the quiet mind. There are answers waiting to come out. And that's your theme for this week. Pay attention to those answers that are within you. 10 minutes a day is not very much to ask. There's 24 hours in every day. Make a conscious effort this week for 10 minutes. Another form of meditation is just putting on the same identical song. This one just came up to me. And this is what I did in my early meditation days. When I had that monkey mind, is I found an instrumental piece. There's no vocals in it. There's no words in it in order to distract me. And it was, I think it was between 10 and 12 minutes. And I would put that on once a day. And I'm telling you, it was like a miracle happened. After about 5 or 6 days, I would put the music on, and after 5 or 6 days, my brain would literally go, oh, I'm supposed to be quiet right now. I'm allowed to be noisy again in another 10 minutes. But for right now, all I have to do is listen to the music. And because your brain already knew what the next notes were going to be, because it was so repetitive, because you'd listened to the music for so many times, and I'd listened to the music so many times, the brain knew what to expect. So the brain was distracted. The conscious mind was distracted with, oh, here comes the next note. Oh, here comes the next note. Oh, here comes the next note. And that's exactly what we're looking for when we go into meditation, is we're wanting to distract the conscious mind, the monkey mind. And in so doing, the subconscious all of a sudden comes out and says, hey, I've got a message for you. I've got something I want to whisper in your ear. And that's when the magic happens. So anything that's repetitive can also help you get into that meditative state. And that's your message this week. Okay. The other thing is that this card says taking shelter. So this is also an invitation for you this week to step back. That's the other message that I've got coming up for you this week, is step back. It's okay to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't have time this week. If you do step back and say, I'm sorry, I don't have time this week, make the 10-minute time frame in part of what would have been that busy work, whether that busy work is going to a PTA meeting or saying yes to your boss about working overtime or whatever it might be. Then take advantage of that space that you've created in your life to do that quiet internal contemplation. So let's look at what your shadow is this week, what you might not be seeing, what's kind of almost a warning this week. So that would be the bottom card from the deck. And the bottom card, reaching your destination, your light is shining brightly. Okay. So in relation to the taking shelter card, what this card is saying is that you're not allowing your light to shine. And the other thing is reaching your destination, being in the shadow position is an indication that you're so focused on the destination and getting to the next thing. Whether that next thing is, driving to the next appointment, working the overtime, like I said, whether it's any of those, or whether it's your spiritual and psychic development, if you're really focused on the destination over here, see how my hand disappears off the camera? It means that you're missing a whole bunch of other things along the way. when you decide to slow down and take the shelter, go within, go into that quiet contemplation, the destination becomes clearer. But the other thing that becomes clearer are the lessons that are along the path to get to the destination. You've probably heard the saying, life is a journey, not a destination. And in spiritual or psychic development, that is the gospel truth. And if we are fully focused on the destination, we miss all of the little lessons that are along the way for us. So that's your shadow this week for those of you that selected this little piece of amethyst as your guiding light this week. And I want to point out too that amethyst is directly related to the development of the third eye, to the development of spiritual abilities. And it has that vibration with it. And for those of you that selected these cards this week from deck number 1, I'm really getting the sense that that's part of what you're being called to. That's what your spirit guides are calling you to do this week, is do that stepping back, take that shelter, go within, find the answers, and don't concentrate so much on the destination. Pay attention to the journey, because when you pay attention to the journey, there are so many lessons along the way. What happens for some of us is if we concentrate too much on the destination and we miss the lessons on the journey, we have to go back and start again. So that's your message this week for those of you that selected the amethyst. Take that time, go within, find that meditation, and watch out for your tunnel vision. That's really what this card in the shadow position is saying, is watch out for that tunnel vision of, I have to get to the destination. Pay attention to the journey. And when you do pay attention to the journey, there is an inner light that's going to come out for you. All right, so let's tuck these cards back into their little hiding place and put the stone back. And we're going to move into deck number 2. Those of you that were attracted to the piece of sea glass, it's a little green piece of sea glass that's in the shape of a worry stone. So those of you that were attracted to this, these are the energies for you to pay attention to and concentrate on and be a shadow this week. Okay. There's a card that's bending down. All right. 7 of Wands, 7 of the Ancients, the Toad, inner strength and resources. Okay, let that sink in for just a moment. So for those of you that are having your priority or concentration of reading this week and guidance this week in deck number 2, you have the Toad. The Toad is known to be one of the more ancient creatures on our planet. However, having said that, it's also super sensitive to a changing environment. So it is more susceptible to a sudden die-off, if that makes sense, or a sudden extinction event. And yet, we still have them. And that's because their population was so big hundreds, thousands of years ago. Having said that, the toad's environment has changed drastically over a period of time. And so that has caused the toad to need to adapt, to need to have an inner strength and have resources that it didn't originally know that it had. So for those of you that have selected this deck this week, your guiding energy this week is to really pay attention to your own inner strength and your own resources so that you can adapt to the changing world that we're currently in. There's so many changes coming up. I mean, we've just come through 2 years of almost 3 years of some pretty drastic energetic changes. And there's more to come. We're not finished yet. And this isn't just about the changes that humans are creating and bringing about, but this is also about environmental changes. Our sun is changing drastically. And I know I mentioned this last week. I think I mentioned it the week before. But the whole environment changing narrative, our environment is changing. It's that simple. But it's not solely changing because of or as a direct result of carbon-based actions, shall we say. There's more at work. Okay, so for those of you that have this card this week, you're being called upon to really look at what your inner strengths and resources are. What do you have to fall back upon when things change, when the going gets tough, when things get a little bit weird? What are your resources? What are your go-tos? Do you have a spiritual practice that helps you to get through changing times? Do you have maybe a store of food? Are you prepping a little bit for potential hardships at some point in time? Do you have plans in place for an environmental disaster, you know, like your basement gets flooded because a pipe backs up or something? Do you have everything in place? And I'm going to tell you that you do. That's what this card is telling you, is that you do. But what perhaps is lacking is your knowledge of that, your conscious knowledge that you actually have everything you need within you. You have that inner strength. You have those inner resources. So this week you're being called upon to bring that into awareness. I don't know why this is coming up, but it's coming up. Okay. What I'm being called upon to bring up for those of you that have this deck this week is, remember when we were younger and we would go to school and the fire department would come in and they'd talk about fire preparedness and so on, and have an escape plan, know how to be able to get out of your house, have an area in your yard where you meet up with your family so that everybody can be accounted for. That's the type of preparation and the energy that I've got coming up for you this week. This week is kind of about prepping. But it's not about prepping using resources outside of yourself, i.e. jumping on Amazon and going, oh my God, I need one of those emergency escape ladders. Okay, maybe you do, but you have everything within you to be able to make the preparations that you need and you want. That's going to bring you some inner security. Okay, so that's for those of you that selected this pile this week, this deck. All right, your shadow this week is the beaver, working hard for our dreams. Okay. So this being in the shadow, it's funny, right? It's funny that the last part of what I was saying is for you to do some work this week towards bringing into your consciousness what exactly you have within you for preparations, your inner strengths, your inner resources. And your shadow this week is working for your dreams. So this is what's being hidden from you. This is an indication that you haven't been doing, sorry, I have a frog in my throat. You have not been doing the work that you're being called upon this week, which is, to really get consciously aware. You haven't been working towards those dreams. You haven't been working towards preparedness, right? We know that the beaver is really, really determined, shall we say. When a beaver wants to dam something up, they get the job done. When they want to build a new beaver hut out in the middle of a swamp, they go for it and they get it done. They're hard workers. So some of what's being shadowed from you this week, some of what kind of has a little bit of a glazing over top of it, is that hard work. I'm getting the sense that for some of you that selected deck number 2 this week in this piece of green glass, is that there's been the word that's coming to mind that Spirit's telling me to say is there has been some lackadaisical energies on your part in recent times. You're kind of sitting waiting for things to come to you. You know that the energies are changing, just like the toad can sense the changing and the moving in the ground when their own environment is starting to change and they need to start to adapt. There's also this laxity. I mean, I look at my energy. I'm even sitting back into a more relaxed position instead of sitting upright. The energies are taking over here. All right, sit up. So yeah, for those of you that have this deck this week, there's been this lackadaisical energy, almost a laziness on your part right now. And you're being called upon to really, really start to get some work done. That's what this card is showing me. Being in the shadow position. I mean, normally, if this had come up for the main part of your reading and your main theme, it means that this is the work that you're doing. But it came up in the shadow, which is an indication that you have not been doing the work that you need to do. So, yeah. And, the toad is showing you that you have everything you need to be able to do it. Don't shy away from it. Okay, so that wraps up the reading for deck number 2. And let's move on to the themes. For those of you that selected the fluorite point, again, that because of the lighting here, it's hard to see, but there's both green and purple in this point. It's really quite lovely, and it's unfortunate that the lighting isn't better. Okay, let's have a look and see what energies are coming up for. Oh, there we go. Oh, you know what? There's 2 cards there. Look at that. All right, so lucky number 3, you've got 2 guiding energies this week. The first one is letting go, the 8 of Cups in the traditional tarot. Okay. Let go. Take a deep breath. You'll notice on this picture that it's showing a drop of water and then the ripples radiating outward. Once that drop of water goes into the collective, it's created the ripples, but it becomes part of the collective, and it is no longer able to influence or create new ripples. That's part of what letting go is. That's part of your message and your theme for this week. The phrase that comes up for me is like water off a duck's back. That's your theme for this week. Okay. So what I'm picking up for those of you that selected the fluorite point is, with Mercury in retrograde right now, communications can get muddled. There can be misunderstandings and confusion in these communications. And your message this week is that there are likely to be some miscommunications this week. And you're being asked to just let them go. They're not important, right? For example, pay attention to somebody's tone of voice. And sometimes somebody's tone of voice can really, really rub us the wrong way, right? We think that they're being mean or nasty or untoward with their words. But maybe they're not intending it that way, but you're taking it that way. And so kind of let that go. I'm not saying not to pay attention to the unspoken word, right? What is it? 75 or 80% of our communication is not about the words that we form from our mouth. It's about our eyes, our facial features, the tone of voice, the way that we move our hands, the way that we hold our bodies. All of that is absolutely important. And by all means, pay attention to that. But if there's only one thing that kind of rubs you a little bit the wrong way when you're in communication with someone this week, you're being asked to let that little thing kind of roll off, let go. So there is a clarification card for this. We are the world, right? So this card was attached to the letting go card. And so your theme this week is that by letting go of some of the stuff that you've been holding on to, some of the negativity, some of the interpretations of maybe what you perceived as a negative communication, but the person's intent was not negative. When you let that go, you become part of the bigger collective again. You become part of the world. That's, we are the world, is remembering that all is one. We're all intertwined. We're all in this together. The energies are all one, right? That is the lesson of the root chakra, the very first chakra. So this week, those of you that have that chose the fluorite point, you're being called upon to let go of energies that don't serve you. Let go of the little things this week. And when you do, you become part of the greater community. Okay. Your shadow this week, if you selected deck number 3, your shadow this week is rebirth. So that's what's being hidden from you. So if you are not letting go of things this week, then your ability to be reborn, your ability to create a new you is being hindered. So recognize and acknowledge this week that as a drop of water in the great big collective, You have an opportunity right now to make one change. That's that drop of water. And you make that change, and it's like the butterfly effect. That ripple will go out into the world, and it becomes part of the collective. So make your change this week by all means, right? You're being called upon this week to be reborn, to make changes, to create something new. That's what your shadow is this week. You're hiding that from yourself. You're preventing this from happening, and you're preventing it from happening because you're holding on to things too tightly. So be that drop of water and then let go. Let go and let things happen. And that will bring you into alignment with being part of the collective. Now, I'm hearing and sensing a whole lot of, oh, I don't want to be part of the collective right now. I'm feeling an energetic pushback from those of you that are listening to this going, there are certain things that are happening in the world that I just don't want to be a part of. I don't want to be part of that collective. That's fine. As with anything, if you've done any kind of work with the law of attraction, you will understand that holding on to something is not the best way to achieve that. Whether that means you are trying to manifest something to come into your life, or whether you are trying to manifest something leaving your life. So for those of you that have gone into this, I don't want to be part of the collective because there's some really, really horrible things going on, and I don't want to be a part of that. For those of you with that energy and that immediate sort of knee-jerk reaction to this reading, where you're being called upon to let go, to become part of a greater picture, maybe what you're being called upon to let go of is that attachment to those negative things, right? You're trying to let go of those negative things. You don't want to manifest any more of that negativity into your life. So if you've been holding on to, oh, there's so much negativity out there and I don't want to be part of it. Your lesson this week is then stop holding on to it. Stop holding on to that attachment to that negativity. Let go. Let go of that attachment to the negativity. When you become that drop of water and you let go of the attachment to the negativity, your ripples go out. And then you can become part of a more positive collective. When this card comes up, the We Are the World card in this particular tarot deck, it is always, always, always a positive omen. So let go and stop hiding that rebirth from the world. You're meant to come out. This is your shadow this week. So allow that to come out. And I really feel that when you start to let go and you become aware and acknowledge that there is a collective out there that's not part of the negative narrative, you'll want to join it. You'll let go of all of this other attachment to that negativity. Okay. So before I sign off today, I do want to say I have an exciting announcement. Next week, I'll be coming to you from a different venue. My background will be a little bit different. I'm going on a long drive, so I'll see you next Monday for that. But through the month of September, I am actually going to be developing a new teaching, I guess you could call it. Initially, it is absolutely going to be free. I get asked all the time to share not only part of my own intuitive development journey, but to help people practice and get over themselves. And so I am going to be offering a Zoom call in late September, probably after the equinox. No, definitely after the equinox, but I'm going to be doing a Zoom call, 100% free of charge, to be able to help people practice their own psychic and intuitive development using oracle cards. So I hope that those of you that are interested will join me on that. There'll be more details to follow. Watch Intuitive Butterfly page on Facebook. And yeah, I'm getting really, really excited about being able to help others on their journey of getting over themselves when it comes to being able to reading the cards and guiding others. So thank you so much for joining me this week. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you next week.